We respectfully acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional owners of the land in which this video was filmed.
Hi, I'm Crystal Kinsella. I'm a proud Jarwin and Wiradjuri woman, a supply diversity expert and published author. Welcome to Meet the Mob, a YouTube series dedicated to showcasing Black excellence in business. Here I get to interview deadly First Nation business owners from around the country and learn about their why. Today I'm joined by Gordon Cole from Cole Supplies, who will share with us his why he got into business and why he does what he does. So to kick it off, how's it going, Gordon? Tell us who you are, who's your mob?
I'm Gordon Cole. I'm a Whadjuk Noongar man, traditional owner for Perth here, but also have connections throughout Noongar country and also into up north into Yamaji country, up near Shark Bay area. So yes, my mob is over here, and obviously I've also got mob that are from England that I've met, and also Sweden. So I've got mob globally, I guess, is like a lot of our mob, you know.
I think so, yeah.
We've got ancestry over in Europe and different places.
Yeah, I've got some German and Swiss, so yeah, I get that. So tell me about your why. You've been in business a long time. You're kind of one of the OGs, a legend, entrepreneur. But so what's your why? What, you know?
I got into business, I didn't plan any of this, to be honest. I got into business after being in the state public service, and after about 14 years I left because it just wasn't doing it for me, and I got into business, and so pretty much I haven't looked back. But it's what it's done is probably given me the independence and flexibility that I didn't have when I was working for someone as such. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah. Well, what a lot of people wouldn't realise is that we actually were in business together once upon a time.
Yes.
GPSI, so it's going back some many years ago.
Yes, it was.
And I think that was sort of after I had sort of been trying to do things on my own as a sole trader, and then and with Brother Dean.
Yep.
And Cynthia. I remember. I think I was here in Perth. And we'd sat out and you said, why don't you come and get on board with us? And I did, I don't know, it must have been for about 6 months. We were kind of trying to get some wheels turning. And
Yeah. That was interesting. And that particular company was born out of a delegation that you and I both attended. Yeah. That was in 2012, where we were at Supply Nation, or then it was AIMSI, but we went to the US, to Denver, Colorado for the NMSDC. And in that journey, we met the late Dr. Dean Jarrett was on that delegation as well. And we met Cynthia Dorrington from Nova Scotia in Canada, of all places. And she was doing consulting, I was doing consulting, and the late Dean Jarrett was doing consulting. So we came together and created Global Professional Services International. And we started to do a number of things. And Dean was driving a lot of that at the time. And then I remember having a chat to him and said I was catching up with you. And I said, brother, why don't we just ask her to be our CEO? He goes, yeah, what a great idea. And that's when we met, and I asked you and you said yes, and you came on. But I knew we couldn't keep you because you're destined for other things. So it was good. It was a good time, and it was also a time of a lot of change was happening in business around the country and around the world for supply diversity. So it was good time, and still good times, I guess.
So you've been on a bit of a journey. So from consulting under your own name, and then building Cole Workwear to what is now Cole Supplies. Talk to us a little bit about that transition, because two very different businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I came out of government at the time. I'd always had an ABN since about 94, but I didn't realise, where that was going to take me, and I just had that while I was working, and because people used to ask me to do different tasks or work for them and do some speaking and other things, so I used to get cash back in the day, and they said, no, you need to get a ABN. And I said, well, what's that? And then they explained it to me. So I got an ABN. And so I used to do work whilst employed by government. I used to do it at my own time. So that was my sort of foray into business, but not realising I was in business. And then I went into a company where we were doing a number of things. And I thought, well, I want to do more consulting on my own. And so I do leadership, mentoring, coaching, and sort of in Strategic Indigenous Services. So it was that's what led me to the conference in Sydney in 2012, and from there I went to that delegation to the US, and I met my current business partner, and Mike Chima, and he was with another, probably the first Indigenous workwear supply company, and he was trying to penetrate the WA market, given it was at a boom at times, and so that was 11 years ago. So yeah, 13, not quite. So yeah, 10, 11 years ago, and so we progressed from that conversation. Then about 6 or 12 months later, he rang me and said, "Look, I'm out of that other business, and I'm looking for a partner or someone to start up a workwear PPE company, and do you want to do it?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do some market research." So I looked around, and there was pretty much none here in Perth or Western Australia of any profile. So I just said, yeah. So we started from there. He and I just pounded the pavement, walking down St. George's Terrace in Perth, meeting with some of the big oil and gas and resource companies and so on. So that's how it came about. So we just started off doing workwear and PPE, and I didn't know nothing about the industry. If I did, probably I wouldn't have went into it. But I quickly learned. And the thing with Mike was he had a very good importing, exporting business and so on, and plus he'd been in that industry with his previous company, so it was a good fit, and I was able to get into companies and other things that before the Indigenous procurement policies, I had sort of contacts through my consulting into these companies. So that was how we started, and we just grew from that. And there was, it took us a long time really to get our foothold into that industry, but it probably took about 6 years or 7 years before I really started to collect a wage as such. So it was really, my consulting always helped me on the journey, but I always knew with Coal Workwear it would grow, because we were pretty hard working at it, and we'd sort of been involved in a lot of discussions, but I was always big on innovation and research, because I was always interested in the innovation side of the materials of what we're using and the sources and where they'd come from, and how to, this environment, all this ESG stuff that's around now in a big way. We were talking and dealing with that way back when we started 10 years ago. So, yeah, and then we just sort of formed into coal supplies, and it was probably the period we started to talk about coal supplies about 12, 18 months before the COVID pandemic hit. And, business is a lot of hard work and a bit of luck, and I guess that's what helped us. But we also attended this workshop in Noosa from a guy named Simon Reynolds, who's based in LA, and he talks about business coaching and so on. So Mike and I attended those sessions independent. Then we came together and we sat down and we developed our strategy pretty much on a plan. And on reflection, after 5 years, I think it was 4 years, we actually hit every target we set on that plan, which was pretty amazing. So it was then we diversified into from workwear, PPE, safety to health, medical and industrial. And we did very well through the COVID period with a lot of COVID products and solutions. So that sort of set us on our way to now, where we had our booth at the trade show of Connect for Supply Nation this year, and I think we had about 4 products, if that, where previously we had everything. And so over time you learn, and our business models changed from retail, direct sales to wholesale, and all the third-party logistics. And we had an office, but I closed it down here. I thought, I'm paying money for this office when really I could be doing it at home and on mobile. So so we've got a different business model that works. So it's been a really good journey. And my children, I've got 4 children and 4 stepchildren, and 2 grandsons, but my 4 children at various times over the journey have been involved in the business as well. And also Mike's sister-in-law, she was also involved in the business, and his brother. So we've had family involvement, and so it's been really good. And it's been a lot of hard work, like I say, but it's really emerged to be a sort of leading Indigenous supply company now.
Yeah, like how you said, it was, a little bit of luck, and I remember that evolution through COVID, and seeing, I think I was seeing you on LinkedIn promoting that you were getting the face masks in, and that's just responding to context, responding to the market, which is so great. Nice to hear you mention your kids and your stepkids and your grandkids. And I noticed you're wearing Blak Digital, and this is a new venture that you've gone into. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, Blak Digital was born out of, I've always had the idea of, I mentioned innovation earlier, and I've always sort of thought about, the tech space, but I didn't really understand it, and probably still learning, I guess. And the thing was, I remember going through COVID, and my consulting business, and like a lot of our businesses here and around the country and, others throughout the world, those that had a people-based business, like consulting and doing workshops, almost stopped overnight. So my consulting business pretty much stopped in that regard in terms of contact with people, but I was doing work in my consulting, assisting assessment and doing stuff on business, analysing the health of businesses. So I was doing a bit of that, but it was only around if you had a product that was required, which was like this COVID product and solutions, that really got us through that period. But it was there that I realised there were 5 things I identified was, and this is what I've focused on going forward, is around food security, water security, health, communications and technology. Because when you look at that period, Zoom, for example, I think prior to pandemic had 10 million subscribers. At the height of the pandemic, they had 220 million subscribers. So I'm watching all this stuff. So then one day I just sent a text to my son who was working in government and said, look, Blak Digital, are you in? And he comes back. And I was expecting him to say, what's that? And he goes, yes. And then a few weeks later, he rang me and said, I've resigned. I said, congratulations. And he goes, what? He said, I thought you were going to tell me off because I've got a mortgage and I've got kids and I've got this. I said, nah. I said, you'll be right. I said, we'll just get on with it. And so that's what we've done. And so we've just brought my youngest son, that was Nathan, my oldest one, but just brought my youngest son, Jared, into the business as well. So he's come on as a digital strategist. So he's 24, he's at uni, and he's come and do work with us. So, they're the future, I guess. So I'm getting involved. And interestingly, tomorrow I leave to spend, Nathan knows, my business partner, but my son, we're actually going to Silicon Valley tomorrow to, visit, Microsoft and Tesla and others. So we're going over there, and also we're going to Denver because of some of the startup technology stuff. So we've also, and I took Nathan to the NMSTC last year in New Orleans. So he's got exposed to the global area of supply diversity, and it was really eye-opening and overwhelming for him. But I said, look, this is where, so when you're here in Perth or wherever you are, you're part of a bigger movement and part of a bigger business picture. So don't ever get despondent about things. Just keep going, and that's sort of the mantra. So Blak Digital will, and we slowed it down. Actually, we slowed it down a lot because we were going along, and I said, look, let's just do a bit more research and look at how the industry across Australia and the world is going, and also in Perth. So it's been fantastic so far. So we're about 12 months in, or maybe 18 months, but we're just taking it slow, and we'll build it over time. So it's going to be interesting.
You're a great role model for your kids, and
Thank
it's
you.
so great to hear, and I got to meet Nathan in New Orleans last year. But yeah, for him being able to have that exposure, for you to go into business with him, and exciting to be going to Silicon Valley, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And also over there, he's a big NBA fan, and he spent 20 minutes with Magic Johnson, the ex-LA Lakers superstar, and he came around the corner. I don't know where he went, but he went off and he said, I just spent 20 minutes with Magic Johnson. He had tears in his eyes. And I'm like, what are you crying for? He said, I just met Magic Johnson. So if he was doing what he was doing previously, he would never had that opportunity. So it was good seeing that. And I know my youngest one has come on board in the last couple of weeks, and he's just, I can see he's already started doing research and different stuff. So it's good. So.
That's fantastic. You are the chairperson of the Noongar Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
So how important are Aboriginal chambers of commerce?
Oh, they're massively important. What I'm seeing is, and it was interesting because it was that conference in Denver in 2012 where I met a lady from a Mexican Chamber of Commerce, and pretty much chambers of commerce do all the same stuff. But there was two things she mentioned to me was around the cultural philosophy of what they do and the family focus they have, because their culture is pretty much similar to ours in terms of the principles and values of family. So I came back here and we just started the Noongar Chamber of Commerce, and it's been a massive journey. We've been around 5-6 years in terms of its legal constituted body, but we've been on a 10-year journey and 11-year journey. So but those chambers, there's actually a wave starting to occur in Australia with the network of chambers of commerce, and so it's really something that 10 years ago or whatever, just they weren't as prevalent as they are now. So they're very much part of the business landscape, and we have about 540 members now. So we're climbing at a rate of about two a week. So it's really significant how it's sort of increased.
So what does the future hold for you, Noddy? And what's the legacy piece? I mean, I think your kids are part of that.
Yeah.
But what is that for you?
One of the things I've started to look at now is, and this is about, it's funny because one of the mobs saw me one day and they said, hey, where you got the car from? I said, I bought it. And they said, well, how'd you buy it? I said, well, money. They said, where you got money? I said, I'm in business. What? It's good business? I said, well, yeah. So I said, you go into business to make money. So I'm in business, I'm making money, and I buy. Oh, well, how do I do that? I said, well, I explained to ABN and I explained, business stuff and that. And they said, oh, this is better than, working for someone else. I said, well, yes, it's not for everyone. I said, but you get into business, it provides you a lot of opportunities and stuff. So, but what I've started to really look at now in recent times is around a lot more international trade and investment. So how do we get our people on a global scale, but how do we further invest back into our business community and startups? And so I'm started to look at investing back into startups and helping Aboriginal business growth. So that's one of the areas I think that's, as we in business become successful, mature greatly in business, then I think it's about that give back stuff. So some people have foundations, some people have other means, but I like to, in that space, I tend to do a lot of things that are sports-based, whether it's football or netball, or I think where young people are able to get, further opportunities in life and stuff. So now, with the Chamber, we're looking at establishing an innovation hub around digital technology. So that'll be one area that we can invest in. And what I'm also seeing here is a lot of our businesses are starting to talk about becoming corporate partners to our chamber, but also to other initiatives out there. So there's a real shift because we're getting to positions now we're able to support our mob better and a lot more, financially. I think that's where the future is, and taking our people, to a mindset of thinking, and acting globally as well.
That is the future, and you've got a lot of wealth of experience and knowledge to share. So look, it's been great to have a yarn with you today. If you've got one kind of final message for those that are watching this and maybe aspiring to be in business, what would you say to them?
I'd say just go for it and don't worry about anything else. Just keep a laser focus and go for it, because you just never know where it will go, and you'll get there. Trust me, you'll get there. Work hard and you'll get luckier. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Noddy. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed the latest episode of Meet the Mob, and make sure you connect with Gordon online, share his story with your networks. Until next time.